guys, welcome back to my channel. Well, I've had Laurie Bloom Flexibility for about a year and a half now, and I've given you guys lots of full-length flexibility classes, quicker flexibility classes, a couple of tips and tricks, in addition to tons of aerial tutorials. So I know a lot of you, when it comes to sitting and paying attention to a YouTube video for a flexibility class or follow along, you might not always have the patience, or maybe you do it once and you're like, okay, like it was good, but if I watch it again, I'm just gonna be bored. So today I wanted to go over 4 of my favorite stretches, talk about why they're my favorite stretches, and in my opinion, they're 4 of the most important stretches you can do to stay flexible while you're doing anything, while you're watching TV, while you're messing with your phone, anything you want. So let's get into it. All right, you guys, my name is Laurie. This is Laurie Bloom Flexibility. I have been teaching flexibility classes in New York City for almost 3 years now. I've also trained my own flexibility for the past 8 years. With everything I've learned throughout the years, these 4 stretches have been the most helpful in helping me reach my big flexibility goals. They're also great stretches that you can do on a regular basis just to stay mobile, even if you don't have hours and hours to train. I always make sure I fit like 5 to 10 minutes of these into my schedule every day. So let's start with number 1. One of the biggest goals that I see my students have coming into class is, I just want to be able to touch my toes. I just want to be able to touch my toes. So number 1 stretch, really simple, it's a forward fold. Now, if you start forward folding and you find, oh my God, I have to bend my knees, first of all, that's okay, just to start to find length in your back. If you start here finding length in your back, let everything relax. Feel your spine elongate, but at some point you want to make sure you can start straightening your legs or working on straightening your legs. And if you can't touch your feet or have your hands to the floor and do that, definitely take it up. For my newbies, my serious beginners, a great thing you can do is go to a wall, make sure your legs are straight and you're a full arm's distance away, and just start walking down. As you get further down, walk out. Just make sure the body weight is evenly dispersed between your feet. You don't want to be too forward or too back. You want to feel the floor encompassing your entire foot. So from here, I'm just focused on straight legs, and I start walking down the wall as far as I can. When it starts to feel a little too stretchy, a little pulley, is that a word? I think it's a flex word. Stop and just hold it. From here, you can bend and straighten, just getting used to it. The other thing I love, I know not everyone has these around, but some yoga blocks. I will tag my Amazon link to these blocks in my description down below. I get a small commission if you purchase them. I only post things I've been using for years. These blocks, they're Gaiam blocks. I absolutely love them. Anyway, same thing. Once you can get a little lower, blocks on the ground. Again, it's okay to start with bent knees, but then you're always trying to straighten. Another thing you should really think about when you're working on your forward folds is a flat back. Yeah, I can get so much further down when I round my back from here, but I feel way less stretch here. So by rounding, you're preventing your legs, your hamstrings specifically, from getting the full benefits of this stretch. I always try and hold a flat back for as long as I can. When I've had enough, it's okay to round just to relax into the pose. Again, make sure those legs are straight. And again, if you're further up, that's okay. You just want to make sure you feel a nice stretch here. Flattening the back also has an added benefit of stretching the back as well. That's another reason I like it. I also find that a flat back brings more strength to the pose. Yeah, because whenever we're training our flexibility, it's always a strength, stretch thing. You never want to do too much stretch or too much strength. Too much strength will tighten you up. Too much stretch will pull you apart, right? So that was number one, forward fold. Number two, I say this every tutorial I make, but a lunge. For me personally, a low lunge is my absolute favorite. A low lunge is the one where you have your back knee on the ground. But if we're only talking about 4 stretches, I'm going to say a high lunge. So in a high lunge, you want to make sure your hips are square. And if you're a little weak, don't start too low. For this lunge, you want to make sure your back leg is straight. There's space, there's sufficient space. You never want your front knee to go over your front foot. So I'm squaring off and then I bend this knee. I make sure everything's on 2 train tracks. I notice that my knee pit is a little bent, so I push the heel of that back foot towards the back of the room, and I'm here using my own strength. Once this feels good, you can start to deepen it and deepen it. Now, as you get deeper, you don't lean forward. You're always trying to stay up nice and right. Pull the belly in. You should feel a nice stretch here. Look, my knee started to bend. Straighten that thing. Hang out here. You're building strength. You're building your hip flexor flexibility. Hip flexors go directly into the low back, so you'll have more mobility here when you get into those deeper back bends. So that is stretch number 2. Stretch number 3, a straddle. I grew up as a dancer. We literally just sit in a straddle all day long until it's time to go to dance class. And then in dance class, we work on our straddles. And then in aerial silks, you're straddling all the time. You're inverting, straddling, hooking a knee, climbing up. You're doing your cross back straddles. So straddle is super important. It also opens up the inside of the hips for those eventual middle splits. Another thing I love about the straddle is it's literally the easiest stretch to do and just chill. So normally, I know I'm not open too wide yet, but normally I'm literally just sitting in a straddle like this, watching TV. Now, it's important though that you don't just sit passively. I would always be working on strength. Now I have a Get Your Pancake Straddle tutorial with tons of active flexibility exercises. I'm not saying do all of that right now. Those are really good for you. But when I say work on strength, I mean 1, work on sitting up nice and tall. This is no good. If you're having issues, if you have a block, that's great to put it under your butt. If you don't have a block, you can get a pillow, like a big fluffy pillow, or a towel and roll it up. Anything that helps you sit up nice and tall. Look, see if I go back this way, I'll fall backwards. So you know that spine has to be nice and straight. From there, again, if that's where you're at, everyone else, before you flop forward, always think of stretching the legs. The ugliest thing is when someone does a straddle and they have those ugly micro bends in their knee pits. And if my aerial teachers are watching this, they're probably like, you have ugly micro bends in your knee pits, Laurie. And they might be right. They might be right. So point through those toes, stretch through the back of your knee. Your point isn't just foot related. It is your whole freaking leg. It should start in your quad, go down into the very end of your big toe. And just work on flexing and pointing, stretching. And then again, just like our other forward fold, when you go into your forward fold, always try and hold a flatter back. 1, that makes it easier to watch TV, especially if your TV is on a wall. And again, it'll give you a deeper fold to eventually get that chest to the ground. You're always working on getting your chest to the ground in this before your face. No face plants. So that's number 3, a straddle. Now, before we get to the last exercise, I want to invite you guys to please hit the like and subscribe button with the notification bell on. The notification bell will let you guys know every time I post. I try and post consistently, but it is hard. It is so hard for me to find time and space to film these videos. I do the best I can when I can, but I'm in it to win it. I'm going to keep the content coming out. Something else I'd like to invite you to do is, please, if you have any sort of flexibility aerial requests, write them in the comments below. Write them in the comments below. I can't promise you I will fulfill them. I got a request once to do like a double star drop tutorial. No, first of all, even if I was a super advanced aerialist, I think it's a little unsafe to be posting tutorials on the internet. More advanced moves can be super dangerous when people without the past experience attempts them. So nothing too advanced, but anything basic, beginner, easier, level 1 sequences, I'm so happy to try and fulfill that request for you. All right, so let's get down to the last thing that I think is the most important stretch. And it is a quad stretch. For the longest time, I could not get my feet to my head. Could not do it. And I just went around and said, I'm not back bendy, I'm not back bendy, I'm not back bendy. And then one of my teachers said, I think your back is bendy, I think your quads are tight. So I started super focusing on stretching my quads, and all of a sudden, I started to see a difference. My quads were opened up and I was able to pull those feet in towards my head, especially in things like chest stand or forearm stand, where you're upside down and you really have to engage those quads to pull your feet into your head. When you're in a cobra pose, you can push yourself back. Not the same with upside down poses. So loose quads is really good. And my favorite is the wall quad stretch. So what that is I'll ignore the blocks for now. There's 2 versions. There's 3 versions. So let me show you number 1. Number 1 would just be knee against or maybe an inch or 2 away from the wall, because sometimes the bone can hurt when it's brushing the wall. The other foot in front of you, and then you use your hands to press your body back towards the wall. Back towards the wall. You feel a deep stretch here. Again, you're not rounded. When I'm here, I don't really feel anything. You're pressing up, and then if this is easy, you're using your core to pull your body back, and I'm feeling so many feelings. This is called a high lunge at the wall. I really feel everything here in my entire quad. Feel it all. If you want to get a little bit deeper into the quad and your hip flexor, you will walk your front foot a little more forward. This is when blocks are great. You don't need them, but if you don't use them, you get more strength benefits. So if I'm not holding blocks and I'm just here sinking my hips down, I'm using more strength from that front leg. So that's good. But sometimes it's nice to have the blocks in your hands so you can just sink down and feel the deep feelings. And if you're just starting out and this is too much for you, you can take your blocks or a pillow or whatever to the inside of your front foot, leg, and come down to your elbows maybe, or just stay up on your hands. Either way, you should be feeling deep feelings in that back quad. And those are my 4 favorite stretches. That's it. Well, I hope you gained value from this video. If you did, again, hit the subscribe button. Let me know in the comments below. Until the next time, I hope you have a fit and fabulous day. Bye-bye.